this is one of the rebuttals in part to the red pill praxeology and the red pill frame. I think frame is probably the best way to say it. It is a red pill frame. It's red pill lens. Is that it is very much there is an ethnocentric bias, right? It is based on Western society, on sort of where we are now in Western society, the gynocentrism in the system, and what's happening with men, what's happening with women, the role of the family, and all of that is very, very much Western. However, I think one of the reasons why, unfortunately, that lens is making sense to men and women abroad is because that Western culture is being exported and is being exported and is being picked up, especially the feminist angle, and maybe anti-family as well, through the movies, through Netflix, on social media, and movements within those countries to actually transform those countries to become more modern, so-called modern, and more Westernized.
The feminist thing, the exporting of the feminist thing, I can't speak for women abroad or women entirely. I can only speculate as to what will be the appeal of feminism. And the only thing I can think of is women go to school, they get education, and the norm, the assumption will be that you would want to build on whatever you've learned upon. You build on whatever you spent years honing in your craft. And you're telling me that I must be just a mother and sit home and do nothing. I mean, I've had women say to me, I want to be more than a mother. And I think to myself, but what's more than that though?
Listen, have those 10 kids. You won't be talking about being more than no mother, okay? Yeah, that your cup will be full with those 10 children being a mother to them. But it's part of the education. It is part of the education. It's part of what we learn growing up, like you said. And everyone's learning the same thing now, so.
But also, I think, and also add to that, I think it's a lack of appreciation of what we have. Meaning, if you had a family, loads of siblings, strong, Eid is like a massive thing every single year.
Yeah.
You don't recognize that as being such an important thing because it's always been there. You've probably never lived a life where you never had that.
True.
I mean, I grew up in a very small family. Me, my sister, a few aunties here. A lot of my family are either in Jamaica or in America. It was a small amount. So Christmas was like, it was no more than like 6 people, 7 people.
Wow.
Fast forward for 20 years. Now Eid, I kid you not, between me, my wife, my 8 kids, and her siblings, and their wives, and their kids, our Eid exceeds easily 30 nafs, 30 people Mashallah. On the immediate family, not even extended.
Wow.
So I appreciate this. I understand this because I grew up not having that.
Yeah.
I can understand in Muslim countries, maybe they don't reckon, they think they can adopt. They think they can adopt Western ideals whilst keeping what they have, not realizing those ideals break what they have.
Yes.
Which is why I think that in countries like Saudi, there's a growing trend of misyah, where women are career women, they're moving forward, they haven't had kids, and now they're willing to be second wives, but waive all their rights as being a wife. The question is, how did she get there? How did you get to that whole discussion of misyah? Forget the fact of misyah being allowed or not allowed. How did a woman get to the stage where she's wavering her God-given rights that Allah has placed in the family in order to balance the relationship with the family? Why? How did she get here? Because she prioritized something else.
Yeah.
So I can see the appeal, I guess, of feminism, and that's what I'm saying, that some people need to recognize that the appeal of feminism, I guess, is similar to the appeal of red pill. There are factors in our environment that lead us down that road. They push us down that road.
Not only that, but I would say as well, and this is something that, it's upon me to mention because it is a conversation happening among sisters at the moment. I think for a generation of Muslims, maybe Gen X, maybe the older ones more so than the millennials, is that, feminism provided a lens, right? And if you'll hear people saying Islam is a feminist religion, for example, right? What they don't mean third wave feminism. They don't mean the actual feminism. They just mean for women's rights, because a lot of people are under the impression that feminism just means that you believe that women deserve equal rights. which is not the case. Feminism is a lot more nuanced than that, much, much more so. However, in a lot of our communities, the culture that has developed over the generations, I think, has produced other than what we saw in the Sirah, other than what we see the Islamic ideal, right? Depending on the country, depending on the situation, you will see cultural practices that do oppress women, that do disregard women's rights blatantly, yeah? And I think in our time, some women felt that feminism was the answer to that. You know, a feminist rereading of the Quran and all of this kind of thing, or just a feminist lens, as in, I'm a woman, I won't be ashamed of being a woman, and all of this kind of thing, right? I think what's happened since, obviously, third wave feminism has taken the whole kind of world in a different direction, and that direction is an anti-male direction. It always was based on disdain to a certain extent, certainly sort of maybe disdain for men and maleness and masculinity and patriarchy and all of the things that men have done. But now we're in a state where it really is sort of anti-male, and the crazy thing is that while on the one hand men are not allowed to be masculine anymore because it's toxic and because they destroyed the world and they destroyed everything, and when it was under them, the whole place was wrecked, right? But then the qualities that we are encouraging in young girls and in women are hardcore alpha male qualities, masculine qualities. So which is it? Is masculinity the standard that all women should be rising to and have the freedom to pursue? Or is masculinity dangerous? Is it something that is, that should be curtailed? Or is it that women get to be masculine but men don't? It's a tough time.
I mean, I think, there's so many things that could be pinpointed as the source or the reason or why things are the way they are. But I think if you started with the feminist narrative and how they framed their narrative at the beginning, that was in reaction to how Christians treated women and how they treated and how they acted towards women. And also, I guess at some point, at some part of the history, this materialism and utilitarian view of each other came into view, in the sense that why, again, back to the issue of what are you trying to achieve in a marriage, what are you trying to build in a marriage? If it's all about just yourself and what I want, and I'm only interested in him for one thing, or he's only interested in me in one thing, you end up sowing the seeds of contempt for the other. And this is where one brother made a very good point, very good channel called khairan, basically channel focused on men, teaching men how to be leaders in their home. He mentioned about basically one of the roots of feminism and also red pill is Iblis. But not just Iblis, like how we say Iblis is the source of all evil and shirk and kufr, but specifically Iblisi doctrine, meaning we all know Iblis on his arsh, and his people come to him. What have you done? I did this. You ain't done nothing. What have you done? I done this. We ain't done nothing. What have you done? I split between a husband and wife. And he embraces him and says, you've done a great thing. You've done a great thing. So any ideology, this is what I saw any ideology that seeks to build barriers between a man and a woman, and sow the seeds of contempt and hatred between man and woman, and suspicion, these are Iblisi traits set in stone from these people, these shayateen, who seek to break between the two. So any ideology, for example, if you're a feminist and you say that men are X, Y, Z, and men are like that, and any kind of negative view towards the man, that's already sowing the seeds of contempt.
Yeah, for sure.
And likewise, women are hypergamous. All they want is money. All they want is to give a child. And again, sowing the seeds of contempt and hatred. Once you sow those seeds, even though your fitrah is still there, as in you still want to have a relationship with the opposite and you still want to whatever, because the seed of contempt is already there, you've already sabotaged that relationship. You can't really build anything because the seed of hatred and contempt is already there. And that's one of the biggest issues why I feel Red Pill failed to recognize. They say, oh, this is to prevent divorce, or this is to help people to stay together by everyone having their roles, but you don't realize that you're framing the other in such a way that it's almost impossible to maintain any level of real love or deep love if you just view your wife as someone who's just going to monkey branch to someone else, or just going to leave you and say you have no more money or whatnot.
That stuff is dangerous. That stuff is really dangerous. And the thing is, I just want to jump in here, because the thing is that monkey branch idea and the Giga Chad and all that kind of thing, because obviously these ideas are spreading. I actually had a conversation with a young man in Zimbabwe who is 17. He's at school, he goes to a boys' school, and he's ranting and raving about women and how women, basically, the hypergamy, about how, what's the point of becoming a beta male provider so she can monkey branch off to the next alpha, and da-da-da. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is Zimbabwe, Harare. Like, what are you, what are you saying? This is not a reality in your context. Maybe it happens for some people out there in that world, but that's not your world. That's not your reality. And that frame is going to, it's like his mum said to me, she said, I'm worried about what he's consuming online, because the things that he's saying, firstly, as a woman in this cultural context, I don't know what he's talking about. Who are these people? Who are these women that he's referring to? Could be a generational thing as well, because obviously she's older, she doesn't know what the young girls are like. But he said to me, the girls in our town talk like those girls on the videos, on those girls on TikTok, those girls on that's exactly what they say. Oh, I need to secure the bag. I don't want anybody who has less than I deserve a what, and all of that. So it's seeping out in the worst way. It is a reactionary principle. I agree with you.
But I don't say that it's reactionary unjustified. I mean, there are some.
It's justified reaction, but it's still a reaction. But it's really happening, isn't it? I think that's the problem. It's not some made up. It's not a bogeyman. I think the dynamics between men and women in the world out there are a reality, and this ideology or praxeology or just lens has come as a reaction to what's happening on the ground. But then, go on.
No, go on.
I wonder, because I've watched some of Kawaman's videos, and I've also heard brothers who kind of are, shall we say, post red pill, not anti, but post red pill, which I think is an important place to be. I think as a Muslim, one of the brothers on the Three Muslims said that. He said, look, I came in through red pill. It woke me up out of a lot of my conditioning. It woke me up out to a lot of realities about the world that I live in, as opposed to the fairy tale that I believed before. So I feel I needed that. But then Islam took me a step further. And Islam took me into a space where I could now be comfortable in my masculinity without hating women. I could be comfortable in my role as provider without feeling like a beta male provider. You know what I mean? It allowed me to level set, which I thought was very, very insightful.